Buckle up, Buttercup. We got a lot to talk about. How the heck are you? Beautiful day today out here in Southern Colorado. I hope your day is going amazing. And it's nice to see so many awesome people in the chat already. Oh, there we go. I had an extra screen there, so I started hearing an echo of myself. But anyway, thank you very much for being here. Hope your day is going fantastic. And I've got a bunch of headlines to share with you today. So we've got a lot of news on the horizon. I know your time is very limited, so I'll do my best to make it rapid fire style. But check this out. Many of you have been following the Planet 9, Planet X, Nibiru, Nemesis theory and mythology and hypothesis. And there's new data to suggest that back in the 80s, when there was a satellite launched into space that uses infrared, it may have been captured. So I'm going to share that with you. We've got the science papers, the data, and we're also going to talk about several other articles like Robert Kiyosaki warning of an impending civil war and a collapse of the US dollar. Central banks are hoarding gold. China and the Philippines are clashing again in the South China Sea, and there's fears of a larger conflict. Iran launches Mach 15 hypersonic missiles as the conflict with Israel escalates. And then there's PFAS, forever chemicals, showing up in U.S. drinking water, rivers, even human blood at frightening levels. Microplastics also, and microplastics are actually data suggesting that can alter brain function. There's a fire right now in New Mexico. It's called the Trout Fire, 38,000 acres. Right now, it's exploded over 38,000 acres. And Hurricane Erick could break records this season if it reaches landfall when it's expected to. Researchers saying that your brain emits a secret light, and they're trying to decode it. So I'm thinking of just another way for the powers that be to track people without having microchips. Well, that person's signature, their brain signature, we can pick it up with this new technology. That's just a theory. But anyway, also check this out. Chimpanzees are showing signs of human-like speech, redefining what we thought we knew about evolution. And this may or may not be true. I have a good friend, Angela, that doesn't necessarily believe in 37 dimensions. She thinks there could only be 2 dimensions. I don't know, but check this out. A scientific article that just came out says light may exist in 37 dimensions, according to quantum physicists, if quantum's actually legit. Also, deep beneath an ancient palace in Iraq, a 12-ton monument of forgotten Assyrian deities has been discovered. And meanwhile, a Canadian rock carving with a multitude of symbols has been decoded. And at first, they didn't know what these petroglyphs or these symbols or these runes that were etched into a rock meant. But now they're saying it's revealing the Lord's Prayer, similar to the 1611 version of the Lord's Prayer. So this is your one-stop deep dive into cosmic dangers, forbidden science, possibility of an economic collapse, what you can do about it, and ancient revelation. So let's get into it. All right. Now, I did want to give a huge shout out to our friends over Nanu at Noble Gold Investments. So Noble Gold's awesome, and gold's awesome. Silver's awesome. There's an article that just came out about how banks are actually hoarding gold, and banks are favoring gold over dollar reserves, according to the WGC survey. The World Gold Council survey indicates that central banks are increasingly favoring gold over the US dollar for their reserves. A record 95% of central banks surveyed by the WGC expect gold or global gold reserves to increase over the next 12 months, indicating a strong positive outlook for gold holdings. Do yourselves a favor. Give Noble Gold Investments a call. If you qualify, if you convert your 401 or IRA or set up a 401 or IRA with Noble Gold Investments, they will gift you a 10-ounce solid silver American flag bar at no additional cost. That'll be gifted to you. So approximately every 6 years, the dollar loses about half of its buying power. So like if you've got $100,000 in your savings account today, by 2031, it could feel like $50,000. You probably notice every time you go to the you go get fuel for your car, or you go get groceries, that prices are up, the dollar's down, and there's a simple way to protect the value of your savings with something real, something proven: gold, silver, assets that hold their value over time. That's one of the reasons I trust Noble Gold Investments. They make it simple to protect your savings with physical gold or silver. No high pressure sales calls, no call centers, just honest guidance, A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, one-on-one support, transparent pricing. And right now, as I said a moment ago, when you open up a qualified account, Noble Gold will send you a free 10-ounce solid silver American flag bar as a thank you. Go to noblegoldinvestments.com today and give them a call, 1-877-646-5347. Don't just protect your wealth, preserve its power, and let them know Rex from Leak Project sent you. All right, let's talk about it. So what are you up to today? Interesting. I'm going to actually put some of the comments here. Here, let's do this. I wonder if I can actually put all the comments in the comments section here. So let's show the comments on the stage. Boom. All right. The comments will be scrolling up on the stage as we're talking. But let's get to the first article here that I found very interesting. And I'll do a screen share on this with you. Share screen. Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom. Unexpected passing object could help wipe out Earth. This is the Independent.com. Also, Science News explores a passing star could fling Earth out of orbit or into the sun. New Scientist: risk of a star destroying the solar system is higher than expected. Stars that pass close to the solar system could pull planets out of alignment, sending them hurling into the sun or into space. Check this out, Eco News. Only 2 weeks left to discover Planet 9. Only 2 weeks left. It would be very close to Earth, astronomically speaking, but not literally. So we're going to talk about that. And this is the science paper that I wanted to share with you. I did a podcast on it previously, but I don't know if you had a chance to see it. And this is just an update. And I think it correlates with all of these headlines that are talking about the potential of a rogue star to fling Earth deep into space or potentially out of orbit, where it could cause major chaos with the sun. But see, what's interesting is if you go back and you read the ancient stories and the mythologies and the scriptures, there's a lot of stories describing these battles in the heavens. And there's a lot of these deities that are referred to as gods. And if you look at the gods astronomically, many of these gods are connected to the planets. As an example, Kronos and Saturn, and then Jupiter and Zeus. And then if you read these stories about how Zeus battled his father Kronos and won, and Kronos ate his children. Well, what if you consider the possibility that there was a time, well, they even actually just came out with an article, that a scientific paper that said many years ago, Jupiter was about 2.5 times the size that it is now. I interviewed Wal Thornhill before he passed several times, and one of the leading experts in the electric universe theory. Now, I don't agree with everything he says, but I think he has some very interesting theories. And I remember one of the last conversations we had, he had mentioned that the data that he was looking at suggested there's a possibility that Saturn was a activated star, like a brown dwarf star, as well as Jupiter. I understand the debate about those planets being stars and it not being possible if you look at the traditional models of how much mass you need for a star to actually be a star, even a brown dwarf star. But it is very interesting, and it does make you question, was there a time in the past when the atmosphere on the planet was substantially different, which allowed these dinosaurs to roam the earth, much larger creatures, a different environment and different atmosphere that allowed for larger plant life and flora, etc. It appears that the climate is constantly changing. So there are theories that at one point in time, Saturn was an activated star. And I have questioned if Shamash, in ancient Sumerian mythology and ancient Babylonian mythology, Shamash was the sun god at one point. And then later, U2 became the new star, the new sun, but people are correlating Shamash with Utu. Now, stay with me here. If Shamash and Utu are the same entity, just throughout different timelines, and they're both related to the sun god, then you could say the star, the sun that we see right now, is Shamash and Utu. However, there are theories that Shamash was Saturn when Saturn was a star, if it was a star, and that's why there's so many religions and beliefs that correlate with Saturn, Shamash, Saturday for a day of worship. In certain religions, they have Friday and Saturday as their days of worship. Friday is connected to Venus. Venus is connected to Ishtar, the Eastern star, which is also referenced as Lucifer in Revelation in the King James Bible. So, with all of that said, when we look at the data right here, a search for Planet 9 in the IRAS data, this person, Michael Rowan Robinson, actually carried out a search for Planet 9 in the IRAS data at a distance range proposed for Planet 9. This is very interesting. Now, let me read this to you because he actually has images that he shows from the IRAS data, which are candidates for Planet 9. Now, remember, Planet 9 would be labeled Planet X if Pluto wasn't recently demoted. Just, 15 years ago, Pluto was demoted by the same astronomers that said they think they found Planet 9. Very interesting, right? Demote Pluto, so now we can find a new planet. We'll call it Planet 9 instead of Planet X, and we won't cause as much fear on the public. So anyway, just a theory here. This is very interesting, though. I have carried out research and search for Planet 9 in the IRAS data at the distance range proposed for Planet 9. The signature would be a 60 unidentified IRAS point source with an associated nearby source from the IRAS reject file of sources which received only a single hour's confirmed HCON detection. So basically what he's saying is he's going through the old IRAS data. IRAS is an infrared satellite that was launched into space in the 80s. It detected some anomalies. Astronomers then thought the anomalies that it detected, one in particular, was Planet X. Then it made the mainstream news, front page news in the 80s. You can look it up. Planet X discovered outside in the distant space past Pluto. We have discovered Planet X. Makes mainstream news, front page. And then shortly after, astronomers say that was inaccurate. It wasn't Planet X. It was some type of comet or asteroid. So what this person has done is he's gone through the data sets, the old imaging, and he's found potentially 3 candidates for Planet 9 or Planet X. Let me read this to you. It's very interesting. But first, you know what? First, let's go back. Let's go back to this real quick. Risk of a star destroying the solar system is higher than expected. According to recent studies, it is indeed possible for a passing star to cause instability in the solar system, including potentially affecting the Earth's orbit. Passing stars' gravitational pull, the gravitational influence of passing stars, even those that don't come extremely close, can slightly alter the orbits of planets within a solar system. Increased instability, while the solar system has generally been considered stable, these studies suggest that according to and accounting for external stellar influences significantly increases the chances of future orbital instability. One study estimates that approximate 0.2% probability that Earth could be involved in a planetary collision or ejected from the solar system over the next 5 billion years due to a passing star. So you don't need to bring in your tomato plants just yet. Now, this isn't imminent. While these findings reveal a potentially higher risk than previously thought, the overall chance of such events is still considered low within the remaining lifespan of the sun. And these findings could have implications for understanding the stability of other planetary systems beyond our own. So it's a little ways out, maybe, but then it is still higher than expected. Low probability. New computer models suggest that the gravitational pull of a passing star could potentially cause a variety of catastrophic events, such as planets colliding, being ejected from the solar system. While the probability of such an event is still approximately 0.2% for Earth being ejected or colliding in the next 5 billion years, it's a greater risk than earlier estimates. Okay. Now we're going to talk about Planet 9. So let's get into Planet 9 here. Let's go to this paper right here. The hypothetical existence of Planet 9, a large undiscovered planet believed to be lurking in the outer solar system, is a fascinating and ongoing case and area of research. The primary evidence for Planet 9's existence comes from the unusual clustering of orbits observed in some distant Kuiper Belt objects, which suggest they are being gravitationally influenced by a massive unseen object. Astronomers have been using powerful telescopes like the Keck and Subaru telescopes in Hawaii, as well as analyzing data from infrared surveys like IRAS and Akari to search for Planet 9. Some researchers have also utilized citizen science projects like Backyard World's Planet 9, which allows the public to assist in the search using images from missions like NASA's WISE. Now, there is an observatory that is almost complete, and it is called the Vera C. Rubin Observatory. It's located in Chile. It's widely anticipated to play a crucial role in the search for Planet 9. This observatory, expected to begin operations this year, actually, is specifically designed to conduct a large-scale survey of the southern hemisphere sky for a decade. Its powerful telescope and sophisticated data analysis systems are perfectly suited to detect faint objects moving across the sky, which is exactly what a distant Planet 9 would appear as. Many astronomers believe that if Planet 9 exists, the Rubin Observatory has a high chance of finding it within the first few years of operation. There's one article that just came out, actually a week ago, and said Planet 9 only has 2 weeks left to be discovered. And that was a week ago. So there's a week left from now, according to that article. I'll share that with you in a minute. I don't agree with that, but I'll show it to you in a minute. It's a little bit of doom pornish there, but there are other potential discoveries as well. Even if the Rubin Observatory doesn't directly spot Planet 9, it is expected to discover thousands of new objects in the Kuiper Belt. Studying the orbits of these objects could provide additional and direct evidence for the existence of Planet 9. Now, while the Rubin Observatory offers great promise, the search for Planet 9 remains challenging due to uncertainties about its size, reflectivity, and distance, all of which affect its brightness and detectability, obviously. And if Planet 9 is a small, dark, and very far away star, it could be on the edge of the Rubin Observatory's detection limits. So scientists are optimistic that the Rubin Observatory will either confirm the existence of Planet 9 or rule it out within the next 10 years. Yeah. So we'll see. Now let's go back to the paper here. I'm going to show you the image. Right here. So this is the possible orbit for a Planet 9 candidate for the year 1983. This shows the elliptical coordinates. The footprint of an IRAS 60 UM detector is indicated at the lower right. You can see it. Boom. Look at that. Boom. There it is. Here's the orbit. Here's the image. And in the 80s, so let's go back to the IRAS data. Let's talk about this. In the 1980s, astronomers used data from the infrared astronomical satellite to search for a proposed 10th planet, often referred to as Planet X. At the time, the IRAS was the first infrared space telescope and conducted a survey of the entire sky in 1983. Michael Rowan Robinson conducted a search for Planet X in the IRAS data, but the initial search was unsuccessful. And then the 1983 press story, a misunderstanding, they say, from NASA or from a NASA briefing led to a temporary press story claiming IRAS had discovered Planet X. Then this was later refuted. Remember, it made the front page news. Then later reanalysis, more recently, Rowan Robinson revisited the IRAS data and found 3 infrared sources that he suggested could potentially be the theorized Planet 9 or Planet X. And then in 2025, researchers using both IRAS and Akari, which is another infrared satellite data, found another faint object that could be a planet or a candidate for Planet 9 based on its movement between the two data sets. So they're taking the data and saying, hey, look, this meets the parameters. I'm surprised that this isn't making more news. Like, this made the mainstream news a little bit. It was talked about a little bit, but now you've got the mainstream news describing a potential for a rogue star with a 0.2% chance of knocking Earth into oblivion. Very interesting. Planet 9 is obviously the concept of a hidden planet beyond Neptune, now often called Planet 9. And this, the biggest data sets they have right now publicly that they think correlates to that Planet 9 is the gravitational patterns observed with these large trans-Neptunian objects in the Kuiper Belt. Well, now here's some more information to share. Now, yeah, we talked about this already, talked about that. So this was the Eco News saying only 2 weeks left to discover Planet 9. It would be very close to Earth. That's a little bit misleading because it's still out past Neptune. It's way the hell out there. But in astronomical terms, if it's discovered within the next week or so, it would be considered relatively close to Earth. With that in mind, this is space.com. If Planet 9 does get close to Earth, or if it starts to affect some of these major trans-Neptunian objects or centaurs or comets or asteroids or debris, it could be substantial as well. It could cause some serious chaos. Now, astronomers have discovered the largest comet ever in the Oort cloud, the outskirts of the solar system, and it's exploding with jets of gas. That's very interesting, right? Jets of gas. Listen to this. The largest comet ever discovered. Let me see if I can pull this up a little bit. There we go. The largest comet ever discovered that originated from the Oort cloud is C 2014 UN 271. No, they just found a bigger one. That's the second biggest. No, I guess that's it. So the comet's nucleus is approximately 85 miles across. It's located in the Oort cloud, a vast region of icy bodies at the solar system's edge, and the comet is emitting complex and evolving jets of carbon monoxide gas, providing the first direct evidence of how such cold, distant objects can be active. Scientists believe that as the comet approaches the sun, the warming causes frozen materials such as carbon monoxide to turn into gas and erupt from the nucleus. This discovery offers a rare look at the chemistry of icy bodies from the solar system's edge and provides insights into the conditions of the early solar system. Now, there's a lot of speculation about this and like a lot of people that disagree with the official definition of what a comet is. A lot of people believe that that's actually electrical discharge that we're seeing, and it's not jets of gas. But I don't know. Like, I don't know. I think they're both fascinating theories. I don't think we know everything yet about them, but what we do know is if it gets close to Earth, it's not going to be good. Okay. So just saying. But let's go to the next article. This one I find very, very interesting. This next article here from Popular Mechanics. Once again, I don't know, but it's pretty dang cool. Scientists produced a particle of light that simultaneously accessed 37 dimensions. So listen to this. Scientists recently conducted a quantum experiment that produced a particle of light or photon that simultaneously existed in 37 different dimensions. Like, where do they come up with that, right? So first of all, I got to say, I have interviewed people previously, and I got kind of burnt out with some of these interviews, but I've talked to people in the past that started talking about different dimensions, and they're like, yeah, in the 7th dimension and in the 14th dimension, you have these incredible light arrays that come out of rainbows, and you just think it and you create it. It's amazing. And then these unicorns are dancing in the sky and they're dropping gold coins, and you can just collect the gold. I mean, just ridiculous stuff, right? I'm like, well, do you really are you just making up numbers and making up ideas for what it's like in these dimensions? So when I hear people's ideas of different dimensions, and the higher dimension you go, the more amazing it is, like, I don't know, but let's look at the scientific data, maybe. So scientists recently conducted a quantum experiment that produced a particle of light or a photon that simultaneously existed in 37 different dimensions. So how did they get that information? The experiment tested the Greenberger-Horn-Zeilinger, or the GHZ paradox. This paradox challenges classical physics and demonstrates how quantum theory cannot be fully explained by local, realistic descriptions. Researchers used a fiber-based photonic processor to create and manipulate entangled photons. They controlled these photons in a way that required 37 different reference points. This pushes the boundaries of quantum mechanics and showed its deeply non-classical nature. So I think that's how they're coming up with 37 different dimensions, is they controlled the photons in a way that required 37 different reference points. The demonstration of the GHZ paradox in 37 dimensions goes beyond the minimum of 3 dimensions needed to observe the paradox. The results suggest that quantum physics is even more complex than previously thought. This research may lead to advancements in quantum computing and other quantum technologies. So that's how they came up with the 37 different dimensions. And I mean, sounds cool. So like, what is it? So these different reference points, 37 dimensions. Like I understand the 4th dimension a little bit. I could come up with the 4th. Whoa, did somebody just kick down $20? Who was that? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Whaley, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm going to put that in the fuel tank. Oh yeah. Thank you very much. Super chat. Awesome. Anyway, where was I? So the 37 different dimensions, pretty cool. I don't completely understand it, but it's fascinating to think about. So I'm working on it. Now, this is, in my opinion, amazing because I've studied the ancient Sumerian and Babylonian tablets and the ancient gods and the Sumerian pantheon. And I've even had really cool podcasts with Josh from Hope Paranormal, where he's got this spirit box. And, you know, I don't know how legit it is, but it's pretty dang cool what it comes up with. And one time we did a podcast where, well, we did several podcasts where we were attempting to make contact with Sumerian gods and goddesses, and like Isis and Nana, as an example, Ishtar. And we also called Enki once. And it was so cool because literally we call Enki and the spirit box is like, this is Enki. Hey, Rex, I love you, Rex. And I'm like, hey, Enki, I love you too, man. It was really, really cool. You can go back and watch that podcast, the way that it happened. So, you know, I don't know. It was awesome. And I've had so many synchronistic moments with specific deities like Inanna and Isis and Ishtar and Enki and others that there's definitely something there. Like, I don't know exactly what, but it's fascinating. And so when I read about this 12-ton monument of an Assyrian deity that was found beneath an ancient palace in Iraq, that correlates to ancient tablets that I've read that describe Nippur and these different capitals and cities and gods and goddesses and deities. It's really, really cool. So in this discovery, check it out. In this discovery, oops. Dang it. Stand by. I just had it. Yeah, here we go. They find a 12-ton monument depicting Assyrian deities and Ashur, King Ashur, or King Ashurbanipal, which is also talked about in the Epic of Gilgamesh. And there's a lot of rumors going on about why did we really go to Iraq? And did we really go to Iraq for weapons of mass destruction? Or were they finding these archaeological sites that had giants like Gilgamesh, the tomb of Gilgamesh? And did they find Stargate technologies? What did they find out there? Personally, I think that they could have used clandestine operations and not created an entire war to get some of those. But that's just there could be a lot more reasons. Like, what if there's ancient weapons of mass destruction out there that they found? That would be interesting, right? That would kind of change the narrative a little bit. But so this monument was found in the North Palace of King Ashurbanipal, located in the ancient city of Nineveh, near modern-day Mosul, Iraq. The monument is a large relief depicting King Ashurbanipal, the last great ruler of the Assyrian Empire, flanked by the gods Ashur and Ishtar. So this is a very rare find, as depictions of major Assyrian deities in palaces reliefs are uncommon. The relief also includes a fish genius, symbolizing life and salvation. It also makes me think of Dumazid and Pisces, and potentially a scorpion man figure, makes me think of Scorpio, suggesting a winged sun disk was originally above the relief. Now, that winged sun disk that we see so often in ancient mythology throughout a multitude of cultures and timelines, some people have depicted that that's like Anu in a spaceship. Some people have depicted that as Shamash, the ancient sun god. There's a lot of different theories about what it represents, but there is definitive data that suggests it is a winged sun disk. So I'm not convinced it's a spaceship. I think it's most likely the sun. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was a time in the past when our planet was connected to another star. The atmosphere was different, so we didn't see the sun that we do now. And lifespans were different. The genetic makeup of humanity was different. And when we read these stories about us all speaking one language, and then a cataclysm happens and that divided the tongues, what if we were all telepathic at one point in time? And so we didn't have the conflict and confusion that many of these cultures have now, and many of these stories and history itself. It's very interesting to think about, because even if we all speak the same language, we're going to have different interpretations of specific words. So we might have a completely different interpretation of what somebody's telling us versus what they're thinking. But if we can communicate telepathically, then that gets rid of all the confusion, or that gets rid of a lot of the confusion. And if you could speak with people telepathically and understand that person or those people, you could learn so much in a very fast amount of time. You put 5,000 people in a group and you're all learning from each other simultaneously. Evolution is going to be far faster, and you're going to know who your enemy is. You're going to know who doesn't have your best interests at heart, because you're going to be able to read their mind. And maybe that's one of these secrets that the powers that be, whoever they are, whatever they are, have kept from us. And when we look at the genetics of humanity over the past couple 100,000 years, the data that they're sharing with us publicly, it appears that the DNA has changed. And it also appears that the DNA has changed in conjunction with certain cosmic events. So is it the sun that's causing these changes, or is it an artificial influence, or is it a combination of the two? Now, if we go back to a time when a major cataclysmic event takes place, if there's an advanced civilization that can survive that cataclysm and then come out after the cataclysm and rebuild, well, they could also create a new, notice I use the word Anu. They could create a new history. They could create a religion. They could create a mindset. They could also potentially, if they're an advanced civilization, whether they're from here or from Sirius or from Mars or somewhere else, they could genetically manipulate the population for the future generations and take out specific abilities. When we read ancient stories like the Nag Hammadi treaties, the Secret Book of John, where there's only like 4 or 5 copies of these things, and these stories are older than most of the stories in the Bible. Even the Hebrew translations, they're older than that. And ancient Greek, and they describe the archons, which the archons mean rulers. And I think that there's a lot of symbology and secret society symbolism in the translation of the Secret Book of John we have access to. But they describe creating Adam, the archons create Adam greater than they are. So when they create Adam, they're like, uh-oh, he has more powers than we do. What are we going to do? So then they figure out a way to conspire to keep him suppressed and to basically take away his higher abilities and imprison him in a physical body. So it could just be describing the spirit then entering into a body, and how the body has limitations on the spirit because it describes 365 demons and angels creating the body. 365 you can correlate with the days of the year. So very symbolic, but very interesting as well. They could be describing the entire makeup of this three-dimensional interface that we are residing in right now. And outside of that, we have a infinite, multi-dimensional, universal energy connected to source. And we are like subjectively experiencing it in a very finite way right now, which the finite and the infinite allows for this continual growth and regeneration. It's almost like the feeding of the machine. It's the feeding of the soul, this duality that we're living in. But it appears that it's been hijacked in a way at certain levels that keep people suppressed to where we aren't able to achieve our highest level of consciousness. Maybe we're not supposed to reach that level of consciousness in this reality because that's why we're here. But anyway, I'm digressing. Is anybody still in the chat? Hey, everybody. We've still got people in the chat. You're still listening to my rambling rant of philosophy at high elevation in Southern Colorado. But I'm just so excited about this 12-ton monument with gods flanking King Ashurbanipal. I think it's fascinating. So cool. So cool. So Ashur, or Ashur, is a god that in the old Assyrian period, both the city and the god were commonly spelled as A-S-U-R, Assur. The god Ashur, some people, there's just different spellings and different iconography, but Ashur's name was written once as Ansar on a bead of Tukuliti Ninurta in the inscriptions of Sargon II. And there's history connecting Ashur to a god as well as to a city and to both. Very remarkable. Okay. Let's go to the next article here. This is very interesting also. I don't know if you saw this yet or not, but there is a mysterious Canadian rock that has these runes carved into it right here, as you can see, in Ontario, Canada. The carvings were discovered in 2018. Now, they were discovered in 2018 after a tree fell near Wawa, Ontario. They consist of 255 different symbols etched into the rock, along with a depiction of a boat and 16 figures. The symbols were unlike anything previously found in the region. Archaeologist Ryan Primrose from the Ontario Centre for Archaeological Education, with the assistance of Swedish researcher Henrik Williams, deciphered the markings. They determined the symbols are Nordic runes, and this is specifically a 1611 Swedish version of the Lord's Prayer. That's pretty cool. The Hudson Bays Company, a large British fur trading network, hired Swedish workers in the 19th century to work at remote trading posts, including one near where the carvings were found. This suggests that the carvings were likely made by Swedish settlers and explorers in the region. The carvings reveal a previously unknown aspect of early European settlement in North America, highlighting the diverse groups that contributed to Canada's history. The site may have been used as an outdoor chapel or religious gathering place for the Swedish settlers, and the mystery of why the carvings were created remains unsolved. However, researchers suggest it could have been an act of devotion or a way for someone to connect with their homeland. Yeah, it's pretty cool, right? Morgan says, I'm from Sweden. Morgan, how you doing, man? Oh, that's funny. That's funny. All right. So I think that's pretty awesome. Now, what I don't think is awesome is what's going on right now in the South China Sea. So confrontation in South China Sea as U.S. ally challenges Beijing. Tensions have been escalating between China and the Philippines and the South China Sea, leading to recent maritime confrontations. The Philippines, a U.S. ally, is challenging China's expansive claims over the area, which Beijing asserts based on historical rights. Manila has been actively pushing back against China's increasing presence within its executive economic zone, which is hundreds of miles from Chinese shores. A recent maritime standoff involved 3 Chinese Coast Guard ships challenging a group of Philippine vessels off the coast of Palawan, well within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. These confrontations often occur at disputed locations, such as Half Moon Shoal, Sabina Shoal, and Second Thomas Shoal. And the increasingly frequent and intense clashes, particularly those near the Second Thomas Shoal, involved ramming and boarding of Philippine vessels, raised concerns about a miscalculation triggering the U.S.-Philippines Mutual Defense Treaty and drawing the U.S. into a conflict with China. An international arbitral tribunal in The Hague dismissed China's sweeping claims in the South China Sea in 2016. However, a decision Beijing refuses to acknowledge. And the United States has strongly condemned China's actions and reiterated its support for the Philippines, emphasizing that the Mutual Defense Treaty covers armed attacks on Philippine public vessels or aircraft in the South China Sea. The U.S. has also increased military exercises and aid to the Philippines, as well as deployed a missile system on Philippine territory. Buckle up, Buttercup. However, in more exciting news, you're going to love this. Chimpanzees are capable of human speech, it appears. Recent research, particularly the analysis of decades-old footage, suggests that chimpanzees may be more capable of producing human-like speech sounds than previously thought. Evidence from old videos, researchers analyzed footage of chimpanzees like Renata and Johnny, who are raised in human environments and appear to produce sounds resembling the word mama. Neural building blocks. The study suggests that chimpanzees possess the necessary neural circuitry for speech. Voluntary control. These instances suggest chimpanzees can voluntarily control their vocalizations and breathing in ways previously thought to be impossible. And revisiting previous findings, the findings challenge the notion that earlier ape language projects were solely based on clever Hans effects on intentional cues from humans. Mama, that's so cool. Mama, as a potential first word, the researchers note that mama is often among the first words human infants learn and might have been among the first words in human speech. That's so cool. Limited but significant. While this research points towards the possibility of chimpanzees, producing rudimentary speech sounds, it does not suggest they can achieve the same level of complexity as humans. Well, I guess that depends on which humans you're talking about. Drum roll, please. Controversy and debate. Not all scientists agree on the interpretation of these findings, with some arguing that chimpanzees' vocalizations are not truly equivalent to human speech. Difference between speech and language. Even if chimpanzees can produce sounds, the capacity for complex language like grammar, syntax, abstract thought remains a key difference between humans and other primates. Maybe. I'm not convinced on that. Natural versus trained communication. The chimpanzees demonstrating these abilities were raised in human environments and exposed to human language, highlighting the role of learning and environment in language acquisition. So, we'll keep you posted on that. Interesting. I wonder if we could, it'd be weird. Like, imagine if we had the ability to communicate with all animals and bugs and trees and plants and flowers and everything. Like, wouldn't that be weird? So, you'd probably be less likely if you saw a spider run across your desk or something like that. You'd probably be a lot less likely to swat at it if it was like, no, Bob, don't do it, Bob. I'm just running across your desk real quick, man. I'm not going to bug you. I'm not going to bite you. I'm just going to run across the desk and be like, okay, man, don't you bite me. Be like, okay, Bob, we're good. Or you're walking through the forest and all the trees are talking to you as you're walking along. Yeah. I mean, can you imagine? I wouldn't be surprised in the next few years, they come out with some kind of technology or some kind of implant that allows you to communicate with all the man, that'd be weird. That'd be cool. That'd be pretty cool. little insects, little ants marching around. They're all talking to you simultaneously. You've got like thousands of ants. Hi, Bob. Hi, Bob. Hi, Bob. Hi, Bob. You know, what are you doing? We're building. Talk to you later. We're busy right now. No sleep for the wicked. We've got work to do. You got grasshoppers jumping around, caterpillars. Like, where would it end? And then what if you could talk to bacteria, right? You're like, don't spray the Lysol on me. No, I want to live. I want to survive. Come on. I won't mess with you. Anyway, it gets weirder the more you think about it. How complex life is and how amazing life is. I think it's pretty exciting. And I think we do. I think nature and like Angela says here, I do believe we have this subconscious connection with nature and our environment. And some of us pick up on it more than others. But I can just imagine where like we literally communicate in English, if that's your first language, or if you're from Sweden in Swedish or Spanish or, you know, whatever your native tongue is, imagine be able to communicate with everything in your native tongue. And then you've got these little bugs that are just looking at you and they're like, please don't swat me, please. But mosquitoes, right? Can you imagine mosquitoes, like talking to mosquitoes before they're like, I just want a little of your blood, Bob. Come on, Bob, just a little bit. It's just going to itch for a minute. Don't take my life because I want to suck your blood. I'm a mosquito. What do you expect? All right, let's change the subject. Let's talk about the next article here. High E. coli levels detected at tributaries along the Susquehanna River. Yes, that's right. High levels of E. coli have been detected in several tributaries along the Susquehanna River, according to recent reports by the Lower Susquehanna Riverkeeper Association. Am I saying that right? Specifically, the association has been independently testing the watershed weekly, and a recent report indicates that more than a dozen tributaries have bacteria levels considered unsafe for human contact. June 12th test found high levels of E. coli in 16 different sites across the mid-state. High levels were found in York, Cumberland, Lancaster, and Dauphin counties. The Lower Susquehanna Riverkeeper Association is advising people to avoid water contact in these locations with elevated E. coli levels. According to Aaron Dixon, with the association areas below Harrisburg are impacted more drastically. Yeah. Watch out for the E. coli when you go swimming. That E. coli will get you. Now, not only do we got to worry about E. coli when we go swimming, but now you've got millions of people in Pennsylvania that might be drinking contaminated water. But don't worry, folks. They love you so much. And remember, it's all about common sense. Remember, that's what they told us in the political campaign. Oh, we're common sense over here. All common sense. Yes, common sense. But you have a permit. Oh, you have a permit. Okay, well, we're going to get rid of the common sense because you have a permit. This is ridiculous. Listen to this. News reports indicate that millions of people in Pennsylvania might be drinking water contaminated with PFAS, also known as forever chemicals. PFAS or PFAS in drinking water. Studies show that PFAS are present in both public water systems and private wells across Pennsylvania. Wonderful. EPA data from the EPA indicates that 178 public water systems in Pennsylvania have tested positive for PFAS. High concentrations. One study found that 18% of sampled private wells in Pennsylvania exceeded the EPA's maximum contaminant levels for PFAS. PFAS has been linked to various health problems. Both state and federal governments have taken steps to address PFAS contamination, including setting drinking water standards and providing funding for testing and treatment. What are the ongoing efforts, Bob? Public water systems are required to implement solutions to reduce PFAS levels and notify the public of any violations. Now, at-home filtration can reduce PFAS levels in water, but may not remove them entirely, and concerned residents are encouraged to test their water supply. The issue of PFAS contamination in Pennsylvania's drinking water is a serious public health concern, and efforts are underway to address it through regulation, testing, and treatment. Well, how about some common sense? Common sense. That's what it's about, right? Common sense. Did you know that there's like a dozen companies that produce these chemicals? Seriously. There's about a dozen companies that do it. So where's the common sense there? Like, I think it's great that we're getting rid of the dyes in the food And certain, like in my opinion, I think that's fantastic. In my opinion, I'm really happy to read these news articles about states that are pulling fluoride out of their drinking water. But then you read news articles where alleged experts are alarmed and they're scared that they're getting rid of fluoride out of they're so scared for the people. They're so worried that they're taking fluoride out of the water. They're really alarmed and they're the experts. Like, really? Anyway, whatever. Yeah. So I think it's great that there's definitely progress in getting rid of specific chemicals and specific food colorings out of different foods. And now Starbucks is supposedly on the bandwagon. That's great. That's fantastic. I love that. It's got to start somewhere. But now, why don't we look at all of the toxins and the chemicals that are being produced by chemical manufacturers, all of the microplastics and plastics as containers, and let's work on that. Let's come up with an alternative to plastic, like hemp. I think Japan just invented some type of plastic that disintegrates in seawater. That's pretty cool. But why don't we come up with some solutions? Like, okay, stop producing plastic containers, start using glass, start using hemp, use biodegradable products. But the problem is common sense really isn't anywhere involved in that. So it's like we've got the carrot at the end of the stick. We've got this golden carrot. Look, we're making progress. See how quick we're going? Meanwhile, we're reading reports about microplastics being found in human brains. Lovely. Doesn't that just make you so happy? But as Danny says, at least my tan is looking good. Yeah, there you go. I mean, you gotta be happy about something, right? Common sense is missing in action. Check this out. This isn't good. New research examines Holloman Lake PFAS contamination. A new study by the University of New Mexico researchers has revealed Holloman Lake near Alamogordo, New Mexico, has unprecedented levels of PFAS contamination, potentially reaching the highest concentrations recorded anywhere in the world. Extreme contamination levels, PFAS levels in various samples collected at Holloman Lake water, soil, plants, and animal tissues reached staggering concentrations. The highest concentrations on record, a kangaroo rat liver was found to have 120,000 ngg of PFAS, which is over 10,000 times the EPA's drinking water standard, and believed to be the highest level recorded in a wild animal worldwide. A plant sample also registered the highest PFAS concentration ever recorded in vegetation. And lake waters tested higher for PFAS than any previously documented body of water globally. So what's the source of contamination, Bob? The contamination is primarily linked to the long-term use of PFAS-containing aqueous film-forming foams at nearby military installations, particularly Holloman Air Force Base. Widespread impact. The contamination extends beyond the lake itself, affecting soil, plants, wildlife in the surrounding playa wetlands. Now, the high levels of PFAS pose a clear risk to wildlife, including migratory birds who could spread the contamination to other wetlands. There's also concerns about potential risks to hunters who may consume contaminated game from the area. The New Mexico Environmental Department has already issued a health advisory for hunters who have harvested waterfowl from the area between 2010 and 2024, recommending they consult their doctors due to PFAS exposure risks. Oh, so if you were fishing out there 15 years ago, they're now going to be like, oh, you may want to go get looked at. You may want, go get looked at for PFAS. You went fishing out there 15 years ago. The study highlights the urgent need for continued monitoring and remediation efforts at Holloman Lake and across New Mexico. Holloman Air Force Base states they have banned hunting at the lake, invested in the investigation efforts, and are working to ensure drinking water sources are not affected. Don't you feel better now? The New Mexico Environmental Department is advocating for more aggressive actions, including complete site closure and comprehensive cleanup. Because they love you so much. Common sense, really. It's common sense. Yeah, it's common sense. Highly microplastic polluted U.S. coastal waters linked to serious study finds. You don't say. So, a recent study has indicated that living near heavily microplastic polluted U.S. coastal waters may increase the risk of developing serious health conditions. That's great. Like, we didn't know that before. Really? I had no idea. Like, I'm totally shocked. This is from AtlantaNewsFirst.com. AtlantaNewsFirst.com. It scares me to death. Study finds high PFAS levels in North Georgia residents' blood. Researchers' first known effort to evaluate potential human exposure in the region following extensive Atlanta News First investigations. So, an Emory University student found high levels of PFAS in the blood of residents in Rome and Calhoun, Georgia. The study found that almost half of the 177 participants had PFAS levels in their blood that were in the top 5% nationally. 3/4 of participants had PFAS levels high enough to warrant medical follow-up, according to guidelines from the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine. The study found a correlation between longer residency in the area and increased PFAS exposure. While the study did not explore health outcomes, previous research has linked PFAS exposure to various health problems. Lovely. Textile manufacturing. So what are the potential sources for contamination? Well, some of the potential sources: textile manufacturing. The region has history of textile manufacturing, and PFAS has been used and processed to make products stain resistant. Drinking water. PFAS have been detected in the drinking water supplies of Rome and Calhoun areas with a history of textile manufacturing. And wastewater and biosolids. Wastewater treatment plants in the area have received PFAS contaminated water, and residual biosolids like sewage sludge contaminating PFAS have been used as fertilizer on land, leading to widespread contamination. It's because they love you so much. They love you so much. Here's 12 companies, the top 12 PFAS producers in the world, and the staggering societal costs of PFAS pollution. Yeah, common sense, guys. Common sense. Now, in other news, La Cruces Sun News, high temperatures and growing winds. The Trout Fire is over 38,000 acres right now in Gila, in the Gila National Forest. That's not good. Let's take a look at this real quick. The Trout Fire, located in the Gila National Forest near Silver City, New Mexico, has grown significantly in size, burning an estimated 38,682 acres. That's as of June 18th. The fire was expanded due to a combination of factors, including hot temperatures, strong winds, critically dry fuels. The cause of fire is currently under investigation. But the containment right now is at 0%. Acres burned, over 38,682 acres. There's 1,056 people engaged in fighting the fire, according to the data that I can find. It started on June 12th, and it's approximately 12 miles north of Silver City, New Mexico. Currently, the cause is undetermined. Grass, brush, and timber are fueling the fire, and it looks like there are evacuation orders in place for certain zones. Cherry Creek Ranch area. Shelters have been opened at the Grant County Convention Center and Cobrey High School by the Red Cross, with provisions for pets and livestock as well. We have road closures and restrictions. Several highways, including 35, 152, and 356, are closed due to the fire. The Gila National Forest has also closed the affected area. Stage 2 fire restrictions and a temporary flight restriction are in effect. Smoke from the Trout Fire is impacting air quality in southern New Mexico and the borderland. Unhealthy air quality was reported in Las Cruces and El Paso, though improvement is expected, while Lake Roberts is experiencing poor air quality. Over 800 personnel are actively fighting the fire, working day and night, employing strategies like establishing containment lines and protecting structures. Spot fires that crossed Highway 35 were quickly contained. The governor of New Mexico has declared a state of emergency for Grant County, which provides access to emergency funds and allows for the deployment of the National Guard. All right. Today, light winds are anticipated, becoming south-southwest by evening. Relative humidity is between 6 and 9%, relatively low. Fuels are very dry. Temperatures are predicted to be above average in the mid to high 90s. There is a growing possibility of thunderstorms, which could lead to unpredictable winds and lightning. And the Trout Fire is one of several wildfires currently burning in New Mexico, including the Buck Fire and Seven Springs Fire. There's also some terrible fires in Canada and provinces of Canada. So we'll keep you posted. Now, this is kind of cool. Check this out. Your brain, well, maybe not your brain, but of course your brain does. Your brain emits a secret light that scientists are trying to read. What does that mean? That's right. Scientists are indeed trying to read the secret light that the human brain emits, also known as ultra-weak photon emissions or biophotons. So this is what we know about the phenomenon so far. Biophotons are faint light particles emitted by living cells as a byproduct of their metabolic processes, particularly oxidative reactions. When molecules in the cell's energy production return to a lower energy state, they release photons. The detection, these extremely low intensity emissions are invisible to the naked eye. However, they can be detected using highly sensitive equipment like photomultiplier tubes and specialized cameras. The brain's GLOW studies show that the brain emits a measurable amount of biophotons, detectable even from outside the skull. Now, what if there's a technology that can take these photons and with artificial intelligence transmit that into what you're actually thinking? Imagine a technology that can use these photons and convert it into information to where it constantly knows what your mind is thinking, consciously as well as subconsciously. Now, that's interesting thought, because the subconscious controls the majority of people's actions, yet most people don't know what they're thinking about subconsciously. That's why it's the subconscious, because it's, so it's weird how that works, right? So now imagine there's a technology that reads your subconscious mind and now makes it available to user, whoever that person is that has access to it. That means that potentially they would know more about how to control you than you would, because they're controlling your subconscious mind and reading it. This is just a theory here, but imagine what if, live action role play. Within 3 to 10 years, there will be a science article that probably describes some type of technology that can take the photons from your brain and convert them into text somehow, or into some type of information that can be used to sell you more products and to, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically make a sim out of you and then study the sim and know what your personality is going to be like and know what you're going to do before you do it, potentially. I don't know. It's pretty wild. But anyway, correlation with brain activity. The intensity and rhythm of these emissions changes depending on the brain's activity level. A study published in Current Biology demonstrated a clear correlation between UPE output and brain activity registered by an EEG cap. Potential significance: scientists are still investigating the exact function of biophotons in the brain and speculate on several possibilities. Cellular communication. Biophotons might serve as a form of rapid, non-synaptic communication between neurons. There you go. Information processing. Biophotons could be involved in the brain's information processing and encoding, potentially even at a quantum level. There you go. That's what I was just basically saying. Brain health and disorders. Changes in biophoton emissions may be linked to various neurological conditions, such as mental health disorders and neurodegenerative diseases. So, photoencephalography. Photoencephalography, the ability to detect and potentially interpret these brain-emitted biophotons, has led to the development of a proposed new brain imaging technique called photoencephalography. This non-invasive method could potentially offer insights into brain function as well as being without requiring physical contact. Like I just predicted. Now I'm reading about what I just predicted. Future research. More research is needed to fully understand the role and significance of biophotons in the human brain. Future work could explore how different activities manifest in patterns of UPEs and potentially use this information for diagnosis and treatment. In conclusion, the discovery that brains emit a secret light is an exciting step towards a deeper understanding of brain function and opens up new avenues for research into consciousness and neurological conditions. It makes me think of optogenetics as well. Look that up. Optogenetics. Optogenetics was the thing back in like 2012. And optogenetics allowed for scientists to basically, what were they doing? They were using light and genetically modified brain neurons or something like that in test subjects like mice or lab rats or something. And they were controlling those test subjects with light. Very, very interesting. Matter of fact, let me look that up real quick. I wrote about this like 12 years ago. Optogenetics. Optogenetics is a biological technique that uses light to control the activity of cells, particularly neurons in living tissue. It involves genetically modifying cells to express light-sensitive proteins called opsins, and then using light to activate or inhibit these cells. This allows researchers to precisely control and study the function of specific cell types within complex biological systems like the brain with high temporal and spatial resolution. Read all about it. Just do a quick search. Optogenetics. Pretty fascinating. Okay. Now, the next article that I wanted to share with you is from Farming Dell Observer. They can't do it anymore alone. The U.S. military sounds the alarm and requests urgent support against China's rising power. So, multiple sources indicate that the United States military is expressing concerns about China's rising military power and seeking urgent support. The U.S. Navy has seen a significant decrease in the number of ships over the past 3 decades. China's naval dominance. China's dominance in global naval production is alarming, with China having significantly more ship orders booked than the United States. Rapid military modernization. Top U.S. military leaders view China's rapid military modernization and expanding defense capabilities as a key driver of the evolving global battlefield. China's expanding defense budget. The People's Liberation Army, the PLA, growing capabilities and increased use of force are attributed to China's rapidly expanding defense budget. The U.S. is falling behind. The U.S. has reportedly fallen behind China in key national security capabilities, leading to frayed deterrence in the region. So there's a call for increased investment. Give us more money. We need more money. That's what it comes down. They want more money. Of course they do. Who? The money funders, the MFers, those that love you so much. They fund the money, but they want more money. But they fund it. How does that work? I don't know. It's weird. But there is a call for sustained spending above inflation for a half decade to ensure the development and fielding of necessary programs and platforms, and rebuilding the defense industrial base, repairing and rebuilding America's military and defense industrial base is considered urgent. These concerns reflect a strategic competition with China and a need for the U.S. military to adapt to the evolving global battlefield. Space Force. Space Force. In other news, Yell Climate Connections. Hurricane Erick could make history with a powerful early season landfall in Mexico. After reaching hurricane strength early Wednesday, Erick could become the earliest landfalling storm so strong along Mexico's Pacific coast. What do we know? Well, here's some key points. The earliest powerful landfall. If Erick makes landfall along Mexico's Pacific coast at a strong intensity, it could become the earliest landfalling storm of such strength on record for that region. Rapid intensification. Erick has already shown significant rapid intensification, meaning it quickly gained wind speed and strength. Depending on its exact path and intensity at landfall, Erick could cause significant damage from heavy rainfall, flash floods, mudslides, and storm surge. Concerns for Acapulco. Acapulco, still recovering from the devastation of Hurricane Otis in 2023, is preparing for potential impacts from Erick. Early season activity. While the Eastern Pacific hurricane season officially starts on May 15th, Erick is forming earlier in the season than is typical for such a powerful storm. Take it easy on Mexico, Erick. Come on, man. Just chill out. We'll keep you posted. What the? This is freaking fast. Iran's Mach 15 speeding solid-fueled ballistic missiles penetrate Israel's air defense. Israel responded with airstrikes targeting several military facilities in Iran. So, based on recent reports, Iran has launched a new type of ballistic missile, designated the Fatah, against Israel. These missiles are described as precision-guided, two-stage, solid-fueled missiles capable of Mach 15. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps claims these missiles penetrated Israeli air defenses during the 11th phase of Operation True Promise III. They state that the deployment of the Fatah missiles marked the end of Israel's air defense capabilities. Reports also suggest the attack caused fires and structural damage across central Israel. The hypersonic capabilities. The missile is an advanced hypersonic weapon that performs high precision maneuvers. It can reach speeds of Mach 13 to Mach 15, making it difficult to intercept with existing anti-missile systems. It has an advanced guidance system to bypass enemy defense systems. It's equipped with a movable nozzle. It can maneuver in all directions, and it has a range of approximately 870 miles or 1,400 kilometers. It uses a solid fuel propellant. Iranian officials consider this missile a significant advancement in aerospace innovations, and the attack has been described as a turning point by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. Wow, that's insane. That's freaking fast. So the latest developments in the Iran-Israel war right now that we have access to, let me share that with you. As of June 19th, the conflict between Israel and Iran is intensifying, marked by missiles and airstrikes. Both sides are growing international concern. There was a hospital strike. An Iranian missile struck the Soroka Medical Center in Beersheba, southern Israel, causing extensive damage and dozens of injuries. Iran claims it was targeting a nearby military facility, and the hospital sustained only superficial damage. Israel calls this a despicable war crime and threatens to hold Iran's leader accountable. Israel has carried out a series of strikes in Tehran and other parts of Iran, including attacks on nuclear sites like the Arak heavy water reactor and a site in Natanz. Israel claims to have significantly degraded Iran's missile launch capabilities and to be targeting its ballistic missile production facilities. Israel has also targeted Iran's military leadership and nuclear scientists. Mounting casualties as well. The U.S. involvement. President Donald Trump is weighing options for the U.S. military intervention and has privately approved attack plans, but has not yet given the final order. He has also warned Iranians to evacuate Tehran. Israel's stated goals are to dismantle Iran's nuclear program and ballistic missile capabilities and to destabilize the Iranian regime. There has been a shift in focus towards destabilizing the regime, with Israel's defense minister explicitly stating that Iran's supreme leader cannot be allowed to continue to exist. There's also Russian and Chinese mediation efforts. Russia and China have condemned Israel's actions and called for de-escalation. Russian President Vladimir Putin has offered to mediate the conflict. Failed talks with the U.S.-Iranian talks in Oman, which were seen as a potential path to a diplomatic resolution, were disrupted by the Israeli strike on June 13th, which was a Friday. Interesting. So what is the impact on civilians? According to the research right now, internet blackout, the internet connectivity in Iran has plummeted, possibly due to security measures or as residents evacuate. Tehran emptying. Many residents are fleeing Tehran, and the city streets are eerily quiet. Now, there is serious potential for escalation. There are nuclear concerns. Russia has warned of a Chernobyl-scale catastrophe if Israel strikes the Bushehr nuclear power plant. Also, wider conflict. The world is bracing for intensified conflict and a potential spiral of escalation. The United Nations is urging both sides to exercise restraint and avoid a deeper regional conflict. And the situation is evolving rapidly. So we'll keep you posted. That sucks. Nobody wins in war, folks. Nobody wins in war. Now, this is the image of the second supreme leader of Iran, and Israel is in talks of wanting to have a regime change. So he's been mentioned several times in certain news briefings. But it's getting kind of sketchy, right? Like we've got Ukraine and Russia, Pakistan, India, Iran, Israel. I think Myanmar is in a civil war right now, or was at the end of last year. There's powers trying to bring the U.S. military into the mix. So I'm going to say, be prepared, not scared. Don't put too much energy into fear. Don't feed the beast unless you want to. But let's hope that cooler heads prevail. Now, remember, like the end of the world in the news is always tomorrow, it seems like, but it's not. So I do see the potential for, have you seen, how do I put this? I don't even want to put this out there, so I'm not even gonna bring it up. Lots going on, folks. Lots going on. Kevin says nothing will happen. There you go, Kevin. Keep that mindset, man. I'll tell you, stuff's happening in the Middle East, though. Stuff's definitely happened over there. Paradox says, seems like a nice time for an alien intervention. I think that'd be cool. Yeah. Have the aliens come out and save us. It's the aliens, man. They're going to save us. Yeah, don't feed the beast. Like I said, unless you want to. That's your decision. But thanks, everybody. I hope you have a beautiful day. And check us out on Patreon. Also, just so you know, like we've got all of our podcasts. If you like to listen just the audio, like you're at work or you're driving to work or you're on a road trip or, you're going to bed or you just want to listen to the audio. If you go to Podbean, let me show you real quick. Check this out. It's pretty cool. It's totally free. So totally free. We're on Podbean and we're on about 10 different platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, iHeart. Would you do me a favor and leave a 5-star review under Apple Podcasts for Leak Project? That would help us substantially. If you could do that, that would be much appreciated. You can see these are just download for free, totally free. And if you could also do me one more favor, I would really appreciate it. I don't know if it's just me having this situation, like if it's a glitch or what, but when I go to subscribe to my channel on Leak Project, I can subscribe, but it won't let me hit the bell for all notifications. Isn't that weird? Isn't that bizarre? So like, yeah, I can subscribe, but if I want to hit all notifications, it wouldn't allow that. And I tried about a dozen times and it wouldn't let me do it. So we've got 418,000 subscribers, right? And then you look at the amount of people that show up that are subscribed to the podcasts, and the numbers are very, very low. And so I'm wondering, is there a connection there? Like, yeah, people are subscribed, but they don't get notifications. Every once in a while, notifications show up. Like every once in a while, I'll get notifications, but I don't get notifications for all my podcasts even. And I know a lot of people that watch Leak Project will show up and they'll be like, hey, Rex, it's been a year, man. I totally forgot about you. And I finally got a notification. I don't know what happened. I've read people's comments where they get unsubscribed somehow. They have to resubscribe multiple times. Really weird. So I don't know what's going on. But hey, here at Leak Project, we want to make the world a better place. Even if it's only 1% a day. If we can make the world 1% better every single day, that's pretty awesome. We want to be prepared, not scared. We want to look at things with an open mind. We want to look at as many points of view as possible that's beneficial, right? So we're not doom and gloom here. We're not spreading disinformation. This is all theory and opinion and ideas. Yeah, there's science and information to back up a lot of stuff we talk about here, but I let everybody know, hey, I don't know, maybe. So I just don't understand like what the naughty list is here. Why are we on a naughty list? Why did you put us on an island and now I can't even hit the bell for all notifications on my own channel? It's just weird, right? So anyway, let me know if you're able to hit the bell for all notifications. I'd really appreciate it. Please leave a comment in the comment section and have a beautiful day. Thanks for watching on YouTube. Be the change you want to see.